Yeah, so Joe, I'm going to answer your question with a short little couple of minute video on the C and D lines, okay? So what you're looking at here is the time force graph, and you can see this was taken today. A patient just left my office, and I'm like, oh, this is a great illustration of what we're talking about. C and D lines being where they need to be, or the computer choosing what the best guess is. So, for example, here we have these two lines. This is your occlusion time. First tooth contact is A. You're going into maximum clinch. At B, we pass through 80%, and we have a sustained clinch with the force line from B to C. At C, the sensor puts a new line here, and it says, oh, the patient is releasing pressure, releasing force as they go into this right excursive movement. And we know the patient's going to the right because the red line goes up. If the patient was going to the left, then the green line would go up, okay? And so D is total exclusion, or when the red gets to 100%. Now here's where it gets tricky because you haven't selected anything as far as the bite goes. But I just told you we're going, it's a right lateral movement. Watch what happens to C and D when I select right lateral. Well, it just changed, Joe. This line needs to be moved over here. And it's true that the anterior is kind of taking control over bite force, but what happens is this tooth, tooth number 5, belongs in the posterior quadrant, which is blue, not in the anterior quadrant, which is red. And so you have to take this little line. Now watch what happens down here again. I'm going to take this line and correct this to be about right there. Now things just got a little bit longer in your disclusion time, right? Because 6 and forward is anterior, and then 5 posterior, wherever those tooth contacts are, belong in this posterior quadrant. And so now what the data you're getting matches what's actually going on in the mouth. But you have to be able to understand what T-scan is showing you before you can start making adjustments to teeth, right? And then once you do that, once you do the correction, the decisions that you make become a lot easier. But it's like anything else. I can buy a sports car, but that doesn't make me a professional, driver. It just means I wrote out a really big check. So if you're going down the route of T-scan, make sure you get a good course in, some in-office training with Robert Kirstein or myself to actually understand what this is and what's going on. And those are the people like Curtis Westerson and Rick Coker who've had in-office training, and some others that are in this group are like, yeah, I totally get what Ben's saying. But if you don't have the software or the hardware, C and D lines don't really mean anything to you. I hope that helps, and that concludes today's free lesson.